few things to cover here at the Scarlet Faithful podcast, coming to you Wednesday morning, January 29th. I apologize that, been not as frequent with my episodes lately. A lot going on work-wise, which it's been a good thing, but just transitioning a bit here. And have a lot I want to catch up on. I know people have been asking me to talk about Pat Hobbs' report with gymnastics, to talk about the budget article that NJ.com put out last week. So putting something together to have an episode for that later this week. Wanted to mention Rutgers wrestling with obviously a huge win on Sunday. First top 10 win for Scott Goodale and the program in 5 years, taking down number 10 Illinois. Dramatic fashion. The Rutgers faithful getting a ton of cred on social media from the wrestling community in terms of what a tremendous home environment it is. And it is deserves all the credit there. It's been a top 5 in terms of attendance for years now. But when Rutgers is, in a top meet and they're able to come through the way they did, that place is electric. And to see Yaroslav Slavakuski come through in the end with that win. Similar spot when they were against number 4 Ohio State. They just missed it, and he lost that bout. He's been tremendous. He's a top 10 wrestler, heavyweight, for the last few years. He's been great with Rutgers, and for him to have that moment and for the program to have that moment, it felt like a bit of a breakthrough. And now you have a chance on Sunday at number 8 Minnesota. Rutgers now number 12 nationally. And they have every chance to do it again. So certainly a high point of right now for Rutgers athletics with wrestling coming through. And just, Goodale is just so refreshing as a coach, and his candidness, his passion, his longevity at Rutgers. He just means so much to the program and one of the biggest faces in Rutgers athletics, and just has represented things in such a great way. And I've had him on the pod several times. He's always great to talk to, and loves the fan base, loves his program, gets the most out of his guys. And it's just been great to see them have that moment on Sunday, and hopefully they can have it again at Minnesota and build some momentum here towards the end of the season. Women's basketball finally broke through. Coach Washington beating her old team, Penn State, with dramatic fashion as well. A 22-4 run to end the game. They were down, close to 20 points. I think it was 17 at one point late in the game, and they came all the way back. So great for that program. Obviously, their first Big Ten win of the season. It's been a struggle, and obviously some adversity with the handling of Keone McMiller and all of that. But things for the moment seem a bit smoother, and hopefully they can build some momentum now. People have asked me about the defensive coordinator search for Rutgers football. I think the guys at the Night Report, Mike Broadbent and Richie O'Leary, have done a great job just kind of giving ideas and having a little bit of a beat on where things might be. It's obviously been very quiet, as of course by design, by the program. But I think it's fair to say at this point, it's January 29th. You're in the second week of the spring semester. Schiano has talked about in the past about every day matters. It certainly can't be the plan to be this late into the offseason and not have a defensive coordinator in place. That doesn't mean anything's wrong. I'm not, sending alarm bells or anything like that. And obviously with Greg Schiano at the helm, it's his defense. There's plenty in place infrastructure-wise, coaching staff-wise. It's not the end of the world. But I think that it does signal that this couldn't have been plan A, right? I just wonder how far down the alphabet Schiano is on his list of candidates. They've obviously done a great job in the transfer portal so far this offseason. They just landed a big fish, 4-star running back, Jalen McGill out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Had a ton of SEC, ACC offers. So class of 26, huge win there. So things are certainly humming in the right direction, but just in terms of a defensive coordinator, still no word there. I guess there is a possibility that the choice is on the staff of either the Kansas City Chiefs or Philadelphia Eagles. Being in the Super Bowl would not be announced yet. I personally don't think it's going to be a pro guy, just because I think this is more of kind of Shiano attracts younger up and coming defensive coordinators that kind of have it as an opportunity to make a name for themselves, learn under obviously Shiano, who is well respected in football circles for obvious reasons. And I see it more of that type of hire than a veteran coach from the NFL. Obviously, we'll see what happens. You have to hope that they fill that position soon. But again, it's not impacting anything other than you would like. It's a like to have. It's not a necessity. It's not an emergency. You obviously need to get the right person in that position at defensive coordinator. We'll see if they also are going to coach the linebackers. It all depends. In replacing Joe Harris-Simiak, who did that last year. But so it is curious that, we're basically in February here and there's no DC yet, but we'll wait and see in terms of how that unfolds. And then obviously Rutgers men's basketball, big opportunity on Wednesday night at Northwestern. It's, listen, I talked about it at length on Sunday. They're not in a good spot. There's not a lot of reason for hope right now. And that's just being honest, and in terms of where they've been close. Steve Peichel emphasizing this week on his own podcast how close he thinks they are. I think the problem with being close is they've been close in many games and they haven't finished. And when you can't finish out games and win them, you're just not a good team at the moment. And I believe he sees a vision where this team is a good team. Obviously, January has been a nightmare in terms of health, with Dylan Harper having, the flu and now the ankle injury, Ebola out for the year. I think if you look at Tyson Acuff and you look at his game in previous years, he was the number 8 scorer in the country last year. His ability to get downhill was the key to his game. And he hasn't shown to have that ability. That foot injury, I think he's still not fully recovered. He's not the same player. Dylan Harper, there's no report out or anything like that. The availability report will come out 3 hours before the game. It's a 9 p.m. tip, by the way, on BTN tonight, Northwestern in Chicago. But I'd be very surprised if he played the way he looked when he checked out at the Garden on Saturday. I was there. And high up in my seats, I could tell that it didn't look good at all. So we'll see. But ankles, do they heal in 2 days? Not usually. So I would think Rutgers is preparing to not have him tonight. And what does that mean? What's the game plan? How are they going to score enough points without him? How are they going to have a functional, intentional offense without him? I think a big part of that is Jeremiah Williams. I think, this isn't to lump on or blame him directly. I think it's stating a fact that he has not been as effective of a player this year as he was last year. And if they're going to win tonight on the road, Q1 opponent against a team that has only lost once at home all year, Northwestern just losing to Michigan State a few weeks ago, they are, listen, Northwestern and Rutgers are tied in the Big Ten standings. They're both 3-6. If you want to build any momentum at all, you can get another Q1 road win tonight. You can inch up the Big Ten standings, be way above that cut line in terms of the final 3 teams out. I think at this point, the most realistic path, which is still a daunting task, is Rutgers gets into the Big Ten tournament and they make a historic run and win the whole damn thing. And they get to March Madness that way. So that just doesn't happen overnight. You have to build some momentum there. You have to get there, right? So a win tonight is what you need to ensure that, you're in line to get there. And just morale, perception, everything. You don't want the wheels to fall off the bus internally. And it seems like this team is still very connected. And it's very clear on their effort on the court. They haven't given up. But you need to have some positive results here. So I think Jeremiah Williams, the game plan, his ability to run the offense, his ability to stay on the floor out of foul trouble, his ability to pick his spots correctly, his decision-making. Rutgers cannot turn the ball over at will tonight on the road. Northwestern is really good at handling the ball, not turning it over. They're 23rd nationally in terms of offensive turnover rate, so not giving it up. and they're 40th nationally on defensive turnover rate in terms of forcing it. So listen, it's not rocket science. If you give away the basketball a lot more than you take it away, and you have less possessions on the road, it's going to be a formula that's not a winning formula, especially when, listen, the Big Ten is very much a home whistle league. So you're not going to get to the line as much as Northwestern. That doesn't mean you have to have intention, right? You have to have purpose. Jay Will's got to get downhill. Ace Bailey's got to get downhill. They have to attack the rim. Northwestern, in terms of their defense, I mean, they allow opponents 49% from two. That's a little bit above average, just under 33% from three. It's a little bit above average. So they're solid defensively. They're 34th nationally in defensive efficiency. So you have to be smart. You have to work the offense. Is Dylan Grant or Lathan Somerville going to set screens? Are they going to roll off those screens? They're going to set them for Bailey. Are they going to set them for Jay Will? How much is that offense predicated off of those screens? Are you going to be able to get Martini, and maybe if PJ Hayes plays again, are you going to get them open looks? Martini, got good looks, but a lot of it is, I think, him starting to kind of figure out spacing within this offense. You're not seeing a lot of screens for the shooters. You're not seeing them set them up. How much can they get out in transition in this game? Rutgers has to generate some easy baskets. It can't just be 100% half court. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Northwestern employs the zone at some point tonight. Just in terms of Big Ten rankings, in terms of offensive efficiency, Rutgers and Northwestern near the bottom, 15th and 16th. Northwestern 15th, Rutgers 16th. In terms of what they do well, Northwestern 4th, in turnover rate in the league. They're not shooting well from two. Overall, they're not shooting well from three. They're 15th in both. Rutgers is dead last in 2-point field goal percentage in the Big Ten at 48%, shooting a little bit better, 33% from three, which is 12th. Their free throw percentage has been miserable, 67%, second worst in the league. They are good at offensive rebounding. They've been much better offensive rebounding. Northwestern 6th, Rutgers is 4th. I think that's the encouraging part about the last few weeks is Rutgers has rebounded the ball a lot better, but you have to finish at the rim. You got to win the second chance points battle. You got to win the points off of turnovers battle. You have to win on the road because, again, you're probably not going to get that free throw differential. 3-point range, Northwestern is very balanced in terms of, they have a gunner. We all know, listen, they're an experienced veteran team. You have Martinelli, who's shooting 41.4% from three on 58 attempts. You have Ty Berry. Martinelli's a junior. Ty Berry's a senior. 39% on 102 attempts. So those are your snipers. And you have Jalen Leach, another senior, 36.9% on 84 attempts. So Rutgers has to be mindful of the shooters. They have to close out on those three guys. Then you have Barnheiser, another senior who's, just really effective as a, diverse player, can do a lot of different things. In terms of his assist rate, he's really high up there nationally. His block rate is high. His steal rate is high. He gets fouled he draws a lot of fouls. He's just a versatile player for this team, a go-to guy. And then you have Nicholson, who's, the 7-footer inside. He's shooting 59% from 2-point range. This is not a great Northwestern team. It's a solid, competent Northwestern team that's very good at home. So Rutgers has to be smart. They have to take care of the basketball. They have to make their decision-making, on defense. I've been encouraged at times. I think this is a big game inside, obviously, for Somerville and Grant. They have to be strong. They have to stay out of foul trouble. And just in terms of the boost that the bench can give this team, they need to win the 3-point differential for sure. So it's an opportunity. Again, I'd be surprised if Dylan Harper plays. I think you need a big game out of Jay Will. I think, Vakoff can get some shots. Obviously, Ace has to be super efficient offensively. He's got to be smart with his shot taking, not fall for the bait for contested long twos. This is a big game for the coaching staff in terms of their game plan, in terms of how this team executes. What is the strategy to win this game, especially if Harper's not out there? And can this team execute that strategy? We've seen a disconnect there a lot this year. So how they start this game is obviously important. Just in terms of going back to defensively in conference play, Right now, Northwestern is 8th. Rutgers is all the way down at 14th. Northwestern has been, pretty solid. They haven't been good in terms of keeping teams off the glass. So teams are they're 17th right now in defensive rebounding. So Rutgers has to exploit that for sure. They're also fouling a ton. They're 17th in terms of free throw rate. So Rutgers has to look. They have to get to the line. They have to get second chance points off offensive rebounds. They can't settle for these 2-point shots. Michigan State, I thought their shot selection was really good. 53 of 68 shots at the rim or from behind the arc. They just couldn't make them. So can they be more efficient at the rim tonight? That is huge key, obviously. And just in terms of Rutgers, their block percentage has been pretty high in conference play, but they haven't forced enough turnovers. They're 15th in turnover rate. They're 15th in steals. Northwestern is going to be hard to turn over. So don't force it and be over aggressive and foul. They have to be able to rotate defensively, fight through screens, and they have to just make Northwestern work for their points. Don't give up any easy baskets. Get back on defense on misses, but they got to crash that offensive glass too. It's got to be all hands on deck effort. If they win this game, they're going to get contributions from 6-7 guys. They're going to have balanced scoring. Obviously, Ace is going to have a big game, no doubt. But this is certainly. You lose this game, you fall under 500. You're 3-7 in the first half of the Big Ten play, and momentum continues to go the wrong way. We'll see how this team responds, their mentality, and their fight. That's what I'm looking for in this game. And we'll be back for a reaction after the game. Thanks so much for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful Podcast.